Here.
Here. So the first order of business tonight is the approval of the minutes from the August 27, 2019 meeting. Everybody get a chance to read those minutes?
Yes, I have.
Any changes?
No.
Can we have a motion to accept the meetings?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So tonight we have two discussions on the agenda tonight. First one is appeal number 197684, John D. Grogan seeking an area variance, section 240-37 of the district regulations in an R20 zoning district, where 75 feet is required from a county road or state. The applicant can only provide 30.3 feet, thus requesting a variance of 44.7 feet for the addition of a bedroom and a screened-in porch. Property is located at 91 Old Hopewell Road, as identified by tax grid number 615701128597 in the town of Wappinger. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much. My name's Paul Pilon. I'm an architect. I'm here on behalf of Brandy and John Grogan, who do live at 91 Old Hopewell Road, also known as County Route 28. The property is located in an R20 zoning district. The Grogans would like to put a 18-foot by 18-foot first floor, one-story bedroom addition onto their existing home. That way they can have one-story living. There's a bathroom on the first floor, and as they are starting to age, they'd like to be able to stay on that first floor, so they need a bedroom built. The existing conditions of their home and their lot prevent them from really putting this addition on any other portion of the existing home. The driveway is on the west side of their house, so we really can't add it there. And toward the front is part of the variance that we're asking for, so moving into the front really won't help. On the rear, they have an existing feature in their home, the existing stairs, which kind of prevent them from adding it onto the back of the house. There's also some septic components out in the rear portion of their yard, so we really are kind of forced to put this on the one side of the house. Actually, we're requesting a variance of 4.7 feet. Just as a point of clarity, in the schedule of bulk regulations, there is a footnote number 5 that says existing dwellings and additions, etc. Expansions of existing dwellings shall comply with the requirements for front lot line of other street instead of county road. So I believe, if that is applicable here, that we are required to have 35 feet. We can provide 30.3 feet, so our variance is actually for 4.7 feet.
Is that apply?
Yes, but he submitted it and then we talked after that.
Barbara and Jim, is that correct?
Yes, we put that in last year.
Yeah.
So do we need to make an update to the, where it says 44.7 to 4.7 feet?
Unfortunately, I was out of the office for 2 weeks, so we would have changed it. I'd spoken to Paul probably before he submitted it, but that's true. We did this for existing residences that are already close to the road on county and state roads, so they don't have
Okay.
to. That's why you get a lot of these variances.
Yeah, sure. We've
So
seen this before.
he has to meet the setback for the zone. This is an R20 zone, so the setback is 35 feet. He has 30.3.
Yep.
So we'll change the paperwork.
So the variance number 1 is not correct?
No, we have to change that.
So that's
There's
just
only one
totally
variance.
incorrect. It doesn't, okay.
He
Yeah,
still
so-
needs it. So technically, before last year, anytime you're on a state or county highway, you have to meet 75 feet from the property line.
Right.
But because of all the variances that this board has always received on existing homes that can't help themselves when they're close to the road, instead of having these massive variances, we thought they're in an R20 or an R40, let them get a variance if they need one for the zone that they're in, and not penalize them in a sense because they're on a state or a county road.
Correct.
If they want a town road, it would be a moot subject, or you'd only need a small variance, as Paul actually is showing.
Mhm.
How did the state or county feel about that? Oh, they have no say.
And we changed the code. huh?
County, I don't think really,
Cared.
county
Okay.
planning doesn't like
No.
the 75-foot setback.
Anyway,
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 Ah.
county planning actually wants the building, I mean, if you've ever read their memos, they want the
Up
building
front.
up on the road.
So they weren't
and
concerned for
parking
the
in
fact
back.
that it's now 35 versus 75?
Yeah.
matter of local consent.
Okay.
Okay.
We also need to change it where it says where 75 is required, so you'll change that and the 44.7 on the paperwork?
Change the agenda, and so on the front of your area variance, it should be required 35 feet, first
Got it.
line. Applicant can provide, that stays 30.3, and
So
thus
4.7.
requesting
Got it.
4.7 feet.
Yeah,
Okay. Any other questions from the board for the Mr. Architect here?
pretty straightforward to me.
So how about we do a site visit this Saturday if you guys are available? Paul, can you have it staked out for us, please? So we can see the, where the 4.7 feet is compared to the, the
Can
35
I
foot?
stake out the front line of the addition relative to their house?
That's fine.
Although, Paul, some of us might not be able to get there Saturday, so there'll be another time. Just let those people know that we'll be coming other times.
Do you have an approximate time?
Yeah, I'll be there probably around 9.
9, yeah.
About
it
9
should be
o'clock?
Okay.
Okay, very good.
My approximate time I don't have. Shall I call them first, or call you?
I can, if they're, you know what, their number's on there. It would
Okay.
probably be best if.
Okay.
But as long as it's staked out, Tom can probably go there and be able to see
Yeah.
where it is. I mean, it's only 4.7 feet.
The 14th we're talking, right? This Saturday?
Yes, that's correct. Okay. I think that's it. You have a little bit of paperwork to do from B.
Or-
that to you tomorrow for the public hearing?
I can stop by tomorrow afternoon, how's that?
Yeah, okay.
You plan on going there 9 o'clock, you said?
Yeah, about 9, yeah.
I will let them know to expect you. Thanks.
Great, thanks,
Thank you.
Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay. Second item for tonight is another discussion. That's appeal number 197673, 479 All Angels Hill Road Apartment House, seeking an area variance of section 240-58-B and section 240-56D and C of the district regulations in an HM zoning district, where there shall be no increase in the number of permitted dwellings resulting from the additions made after 1962. The applicant is seeking a variance of building additions constructed after 1962, where a minimum of 40,000 square feet is required. The applicant will provide for the first variance, 22,098, thus requesting a variance of 17,902. The second variance is where no more than one dwelling unit for 20,000 of each lot. The applicant will provide, again, 22,098 square foot, thus requesting a 57,902 square foot variance. Property is located at 479 All Angels Hill Road and identified by tax grid number 63570321002 in the town of Wappinger. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're looking to do here? I know we've kind of been at your place before, and I think you have some updates that you want to hopefully provide for us for the well and septic and information you received from the county. So if you guys want to give us a little bit of an update.
So the existing building was added on 1998 after a fire, and it has been approved as a ceramic studio for the bulk of the building and an upstairs apartment. And it's been zoned that way since the 80s. And right now, the ceramic studio is no longer functioning, but of course, it's still approved as a ceramic studio. What the owner would like to do is convert the bulk of the building into a series of apartments which are easier to rent out than, say, an office space or some
How many
other-
square feet is the ceramic? Is it about 1,000 square feet down there?
So the total building is 4,050 square feet,
Okay.
and the existing dwelling is a little over 700, so it's a very, it's a modest apartment on the second floor.
Okay.
So a lot of the space, the owner would like to get some utility out of the building, and the best way he thinks of doing that is to convert it into apartments which are easier to rent and serve the community with modest sized and priced apartments.
So why don't you tell us about how you made out with the county? 'Cause I know you guys were supposed to get some work and
Yes.
approvals from the county.
Right.
So how you making out with that?
So our septic designer designed a system to account for the proposed use and went to the county Department of Health, and they got a letter, they looked through it and determined that the design was conforming to their standards, and they're awaiting town approval before they, sign off on it, but essentially, they're okay with what we designed. And so that was a big hurdle because, with the size of the lot,
So it says that you've met the appropriate and applied design standards for sewage disposal
right?
and water supply facilities, but it says that you don't have the official approval from Dutchess County yet, correct? Department of
It's a
Health?
little bit of a chicken and egg thing because they didn't want to sign off on something that wasn't necessarily going to be.
Does that mean you did the perk tests and
Yeah.
the deep tests and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And they approved of the location of the new well, which will be an improvement of where it is now. Right now, the well is right next to the septic system, more or less. And so the whole project is to improve the site.
Because one of the other things they talked about is the distance between the two, so that's all taken care of, that's
Yep.
been approved.
Mhm.
Okay. And you have ample parking for that?
Right, each apartment requires one space plus one space for every 2 bedrooms, so that the total number of bedrooms proposed is 7, so it brings it to 7.5, round up to 8 spaces, so we provided 8 spaces on
8
site.
spaces.
Anybody else have any questions?
I just have a comment that the, sorry, Pete.
Go ahead, no, go ahead, Tom.
I was just gonna say that these, variances are huge, huge still.
Right, we discussed that previously when we were out there and all, and our main goal was to make sure that the project works, it functions. And then, that was the goal we have met so far. And as far as those provisions in the zoning regulations that deal with these, requirements, they don't seem to have a, reason necessarily. I mean, it doesn't explain in the code why there are those numbers, so I guess that's why we're asking for variance.
So Barbara, they're actually zoned today for what, 2 apartments?
One.
1 apartment?
So that's all that's ever been there is one family. They came to the planning board, I guess, in the 80s, early 90s to get the ceramic studio approved. So they must have split the house to the apartment and the ceramic studio. There's been multiple additions over the years,
One major addition in the
one
90s,
major.
yeah.
And so in the 1962 picture in the assessor's office, it's a small home. So that's where they come into needing the first variance.
So they did the big build out in the back? Is that what they did? Okay.
What, just trying to get a sense, I guess, of this, that, when that was done with, planning approval? That big build out in the back?
That was a garage addition.
So it was legal as a garage?
Everything that's there
Okay.
is legal as far as the
Okay.
size of the building.
Okay.
So all they're basically looking to do
Even though
is make
it's
the 1
got nothing
apartment
to do
into
with
4
these guys.
apartments, absorb the ceramic studio that was there
The
before.
ceramic studio on their site plan had an incredible amount of storage area. So they had storage and then added this garage with a second floor for additional storage. It's so huge, that's what, you keeping the garages?
Well, that's part of the space, and I guess, obviously contingent on.
I mean, if this is
board.
approved, the garages are becoming one of the apartments, correct?
Essentially,
That's
yeah.
right.
And then above it,
Right, that 2-story area.
and then the front that was originally the ceramic studio.
Now you have an apartment above the ceramic, right? That's the
Right
one we
now,
saw.
there's an apartment on the 2nd floor.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the footprint's staying the same, and just cutting
There's
up,
no
the-
addition,
just cutting up the pie a little differently, basically.
right, yeah, exterior, there's really no.
Yeah.
If,
Correct.
if this was in a, and we mentioned this, if this was in a zone that permitted multiple residential apartments, would the minimum lot size and the the area for each dwelling be greater or smaller than this?
So residential mixed-use areas are usually zoned for trailer parks, Wood Hill Green, different types of garden apartments type of areas. It would be unusual to see one lot.
I know, but,
So-
but I'm talking about,
How many per unit?
my concern is, I guess,
So the densest
Yeah.
zone that we have is RMF 5, which permits 5 dwelling units per acre. So in essence, for each fifth of an acre, you get 1 dwelling unit.
okay, so,
But on that logic, this is only 22,000.
so this is.
Roughly a half acre lot.
Roughly.
This is tighter than that even. That's what I'm trying to look for, is not what not the variance for this, but how do people live in this space
That's a good
in the rest of the town?
Yeah. that makes
Because, affordable housing is important, and I assume this is affordable housing, because they're
That's
so
the whole
small.
idea, right.
But neither there, but what does the space mean with respect to the lot in the how do people live in the rest of the town?
Right.
So it sounds like it's close,
Well, it's.
a fifth
it
of
would
an
be-
acre per dwelling.
So, in an RMF 5, fifth of an acre per dwelling, but this is, what's the lot size on this?
It's a
22,000.
little more than half an acre.
Half an acre, so
So,
it's,
2
4.
and change, 2.5,
so it's
2.5 to 3.
an acre, it's,
And
an
again, so
It's an
in the
eighth of an
Hamlet
acre.
mixed-use zone, this is located in the Hamlet mixed-use zone in Swartoutville. And in that area, if you, a mixed-use development is permitted, and in that case, basically what it would be a, I just had it. Basically, a residential use along with a retail use or a service business, or, so you could have a bakery or a coffee shop or,
Or nail
a small
salon.
nail salon, retail store. Those types of uses are permitted together on the same lot. A typical village type of concept where you would have, a retail on the first floor and apartments above. And in that zone, the zoning for that is only 3 dwelling units per acre, which is kind of light. I mean, in your typical Hamlet zone, if you went to Main Street in the village of Fishkill or Main Street in the village of Wappingers Falls, you're probably looking at 12 to 14 dwelling units per acre in that type of environment. I mean, one of the things that the code doesn't, I don't think, do well in that, an apartment density in a typical downtown landscape is pretty dense.
So I guess going back to Bob's question then is, it sounds like this here is, it's got enough space to be able to do what they want to do here, because it sounds like some of the other lots, it's a lot more dense, a lot more compacted, whereas this here's got a little more space to it. It's only 4 apartments, so it sounds like it's, it's tighter than in most other villages, I would say.
Well, I mean, compare it to, if you're gonna compare it to White Gates or something like that, it's probably comparable. I would,
Right, but so let's just take the village. If you go into the village down here on some of these streets, some of these homes predate our zoning. And it's not unusual to find some of them be 3-family, possibly 4.
Yeah.
And they're on probably what equals a half an acre or much less. Some of
Yeah.
them have very
And I think that's
little.
the point Bob was trying to make
area.
before, or at least,
So this
What
is
I wanna
an
make.
existing building that's been existing for close to 2 decades, so they're not enlarging it. They're just repurposing it.
yeah, on the surface, this was all what's going on here, but when you look into, the housing density, in the rest of towns, that it's not that, it's different. So the Board of Health is going along with 7 bedrooms in this space,
Right, the design of the septic was focused on
And
that
they're-
demand.
So, for the board's knowledge, the septic load for Board of Health purposes is based on the bedroom count, not on the number of units.
right?
So our zoning is based on the number of units, so whether we had 2 dwelling units or 1 dwelling unit, they can support 7 bedrooms. So the unit count and the septic, while they are somewhat related, the bedroom count is what they go by, so, for the health department.
So they
So
have-
whether it's 7 bedrooms in 2 apartments, 7 bedrooms in 1 apartment, or 7 bedrooms in 4 apartments, for purposes of the health department, it's all treated the same.
Right.
So they have 4 apartments, 4 bedrooms, I assume,
Well,
and
no,
they're
just
able to go up to 7 based on the septic system?
No, they have 7 bedrooms now.
Yeah,
So then they're fine.
yeah.
And this plan,
Yeah,
Right.
how many bedrooms are there currently? 2? 2 bedrooms. So, I mean, that's, but typically when you're doing zoning for apartments, you're gonna look at the bedroom count, you're gonna look at the number of dwelling units, because, one family, let's say you have a 3-bedroom apartment, typically, what do we require, 2 per dwelling, parking?
It's
It's
one,
per
One-
dwelling plus
and then-
one for every 2 bedrooms.
Right. So, again, that's how the parking, so if you're looking at it, from those kind of metrics here, the site pretty much fits it in all of the external aspect of it, as far as the parking, so you're gonna look at water demand, sewer demand, parking demand, driveways, access, open space, those are all the kind of the typical things that you would look at, and for the most part, they meet
fit
all of
within
those
that, sure.
criteria. The only question is, you get to this kind of somewhat an arbitrary standard as far as dwelling unit density. Because in our code, you can have a lot with a single-family house, and there's no limit on the size of the house or the number of bedrooms. So you could
Can't
have.
cover more than a certain amount of the lot size.
Correct. Right, you can cover a certain amount of lot, which I believe here they're under the lot coverage. So that's the only metric. So that house, you can have a 20,000 square feet house with 50 bedrooms, provided you have a lot that's big enough, and
Right.
it's still treated as one family. So, because that's now, when you get to the building department, now you're gonna start looking at different issues regarding separation, fire separation between the units. You're gonna have to put in sprinklers, and then one of
And
the
that's
other
all
thi-
stuff they're gonna talk about at the planning board,
correct.
correct?
Well, no, they probably won't even talk
No,
about
but
that
it-
at the planning board.
Sprinklers and stuff they won't talk about at the planning board?
I mean, because it's a multifamily now, they're gonna be required under the state code to sprinkle this.
Point being is somebody has to review it.
Correct.
building department will
So whether it's
review
building
it.
or planning, somebody's gotta,
And I assume based on, the representations that are made, and, sprinkling a building is a very expensive process, particularly when you're not on municipal water. And in that case, so now you're gonna have to have probably pumps and some pressure system to get the pressure you need to get the sprinkler system.
well, don't you have a sprinkler system in there now?
No,
At least for the upstairs
no,
apartments?
we're prepared to investigate that when the time comes.
Okay.
obviously.
So, I mean, but that's one thing you wanna look at from a cost point of
Of
view.
course.
Cause you're gonna be on a well. And, I've been involved in other municipalities where the municipal water system did not have sufficient pressure to supply the sprinkler system. So that's, and I don't, unless you get down to 2 dwelling units, I think you're gonna have to sprinkle.
Without a doubt, 4 does require
Right.
a sprinkler system, and 3 is on the border.
Yeah, so, I mean, that may be something you wanna look at, whether you go, cause I think having to sprinkler it and not sprinkler it is a big difference cost-wise. So, and obviously and because of this being a total redo, they're gonna have to do the whole building.
Yeah, what are the chances you would come back and go for 3 apartments instead of 4 apartments if you didn't have to do sprinkling? I mean, if we approve 4, they could do 3, they wouldn't have to come back, right?
Correct.
Okay, never mind, forget I asked that question.
No, I get your point, but just to kind of add, the cost effect of it is where the owner's looking, so that's why we had originally asked for the 4-bedroom, because it would be worth the investment, and he was willing to do that, you know, because it's not just looking at the short term, it's looking at the long term,
But that's one of the things you may wanna look at is 4 versus 3. The big difference in cost is sprinkler.
Yeah.
If you can get a product that does not have to be sprinklered, and that's a pretty.
Well, you also make it more marketable down the road, right? If you have it in there, so if you decide
Well,
to sell at some point in time, you already got
I
the
mean, and
sprinkler
the other
system in
issue
there.
too is now, and if you're, you know, once you get to 3 and 4, so now you're probably looking at some handicapped accessibility issues.
so we have that.
Right.
Yeah, one of the apartments we plan is
Right.
to make it accessible, so.
Accessible.
So keeping that in mind, and this is not for this board, but when you redo the plans for the planning board, you might wanna make sure you don't need a handicap spot, and you might wanna consider 2 visitor spaces, because even if you have 2 people in each apartment, where you're on a busy road, where would company come? And everybody gets company. So I'm just saying, so you don't have to redo your plans again at the planning board, that's probably gonna come up. So I would see about the handicap spot, and I would see about maybe some visitor spaces.
Well, I mean, we're planning to have.
Right, I'm just-
accessible spots. Maybe that's what's required now. I don't think it's required for a building like this.
Well, I think
just
if
seemed
you're
like-
gonna have a handicapped unit, I think you're required
Oh,
accessible.
That's
no,
why
no
we're
doubt.
bringing
I'm
it
just
up.
saying that whether it had to be accessible at
Right.
all. It's there, it's right, ground level.
Right.
It just makes sense for the owner.
I mean, the other thing is that they are pretty marketable in this real estate market. You know,
All
you've
things
gotta.
considered, it seemed like a good idea to have
Right.
that one.
Right, and you have
Absolutely.
more backyard to
Agreed.
add another maybe 2 or 3 spots.
Well, we'll see.
To the side, of
It's possible. I didn't want to encumber the site too much, but obviously, we're here to hear your suggestions. So far, you know, comparing this site to other sites around the area seems like an appropriate.
I guess the other thing,
Application.
just for the record, is if you can get us a history of how the property's been marketed as a commercial use, to the extent that it's been marketed as a commercial use and no one's bitten, I think that's something that, some evidence that the zoning board can look at,
I don't know,
Okay.
it goes to, in some respects, it goes to the issue of hardship. So if you've got a commercial space that you can't sell, but you think you can convert it to a residential space and rent it out, and I think there is a pretty good
Argument.
universe of information right now that says the rental market is pretty hot.
Right?
I think that was a goal of the owner,
Right.
to make it as usable as possible.
So I just,
Sure.
you know, I don't, if it's been listed, you know, if it's been shown as a commercial and, you know, if you have that, like I said, that's something that,
Just a matter of economics, it's.
no, but like I said,
Works.
it's, if anybody ever wants to challenge it, it's something that the board can consider in its deliberations.
Sure, yeah, sure.
One of the questions I have is the parking. You know, I know Barb and Jim touched on it. And, you know, looking at the plan, and we were there, of course, we visited. And parking is, to me, extremely tight. When we were there, we noticed it. I did. I don't know if we did, but I certainly noticed how tight it was. And mentioning getting company and mentioning, maybe a handicap spot, which may take up more space.
So are the spots lined currently?
They're not lined back there.
Okay.
They may have been lined sometime long
Okay.
ago.
Yeah.
But they're all
Yes.
going to be up against, I don't know which way we're looking at, but from All Angels Road, they're all facing back in
So
straight slotted.
Back.
Yeah.
Well, except we're, in order to accommodate the full 8 spots, we're talking about putting 2 in the front of the building, but, again, that's all good discussion. As far as the number of spots, I'm just going by what the requirements
For the
are.
requirements,
Yeah.
sure.
Right. And the access is, you know, right off of that road too, so you have more than one, you know, it's one car at a time. What I could see.
Well, the driveway, we're planning to widen the driveway by a couple feet, so you do have 20 feet, which is.
And you have room in the
marginal
back to
as far-
large-
You know, residential,
large.
that's close to being street wide.
So is that your driveway on All Angels, or is that on, okay, so you need a county permit?
I'm sure if and when it gets to the planning
Yep.
board level, the planning board is gonna have to
This will all be
examine
scrutinized.
parking and the requirement, if
But you do
requirements
have-
for parking, right?
Yeah, you do have the space back there to enlarge it if you need to, though, right?
A
A little bit?
A
A little bit sideways, yeah.
It's all on a hill,
Yeah.
so.
Tom,
Retaining wall.
you're right, it's tight, no doubt about it. The spaces do fit, but it's not like you can do, you know, donut
Yeah.
there.
Yep,
Right,
It's
got it. Okay.
got it.
I haven't seen this, so Saturday I'm gonna take a ride over there and take a look.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything, I just wanna
Yeah,
walk
sure.
around,
Absolutely.
okay?
They can let you inside, though.
Huh?
They have to let you inside, because you can't tell from the outside what it looks like, right?
No, I just wanna walk around, look at the parking, walk around. I don't have to look inside. Were you guys inside?
Absolutely.
It's all right, I don't have to go inside.
If you let me know what time it is now.
No, it's okay.
Okay,
It's quite spacious.
Bob, you might want to.
Yeah, when you get
reach out to
inside, you'll
Chili.
see it's-
Maybe he'll want to meet you there,
Go.
Mr. Shaw. You may want to meet
All
you
right.
as well.
I'll send him a note.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
I'm good.
Okay. So next meeting is going to be on the 24th of this month. Got some paperwork from B to do, and we'll see you then.
That's gonna be for a public hearing.
Correct.
That,
Public hearing on the 24th?
public hearing on the 24th, that's correct. Okay,
Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. Okay, we now have a motion.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll be here on the 24th, I won't be here on the meeting.
No.